It's been over 8 years since 85-year-old Lowell Badger was murdered in his rural Sullivan County home. 8 years, and the case is still unsolved. With regular tips sent in to investigators and new evidence recently released by state police, this case is considered very active. Nicole Garcia gives us a fresh look into the investigation and checks in with those searching for answers.
When people talk about Lowell Badger, one message is repeatedly shared.
Dad truly would have given anybody anything if they'd asked and if they'd have showed that they needed it.
You know, a man such as nice as him, he would given you anything.
He was just one of the guys that would probably just give you the shirt off his back.
Badger is remembered for how he lived as a pillar of faith and family values in Sullivan County. But he's also remembered for how he died.
It's a day that clearly there are things that I will never unsee.
Alan Badger and his wife found his father, Lowell, murdered in his rural Sullivan County home in December 2012.
You just don't ever foresee yourself walking into a situation like that and experiencing that. You know, the brutality behind it just continues to amaze me.
The murder had an immediate effect on the larger community as well.
It just devastated people, and it really scared people, you know, because it was out in the country, and so people were like, well, you know, this could happen, you know, anywhere. If it happened here, it could happen anywhere.
Early on in the process, the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office brought Indiana State Police onto the case.
Initially, they were combing the area using ATVs. We were using our helicopters to try to locate any information or any evidence that could possibly be located that we couldn't see on the ground.
Despite the efforts, the case went unsolved, but it has yet to go cold.
The cold cases are like, once it hits the 5-year level, then it becomes a cold case. However, this is still a very active case because we still continue to read tips. We continue to interview people, and the more that we're interviewing people, the more information that we are finding, and once we find out more information, we're going to follow that all the way through.
These tips, more than 250 since the investigation began, ramped up again in December 2020 when new evidence was released around the 8-year anniversary of the murder. The video released shows a vehicle and persons of interest, and Sergeant Ames says it's helped revive the case.
It does rejuvenate it because we had over 25,000 hits on our Facebook account that people went and watched that, and we have talked to people who those vehicles did belong to, and we've eliminated some of those people, and we could still continue to investigate some of the other vehicles that were located in that footage that was brought out.
Lowell Badger's murder going unsolved has had a lasting effect on the community beyond the initial sadness and fear.
We're not a high crime rate like some areas, you know, but it does stain our community in a way, it does.
For Alan, living in the area where his father was killed is not always easy.
When people come up to you on the street and say, we know this is the guy who did it, it's very challenging.
But those challenges come with the support of a close-knit community.
Living in a small community, a lot of people say, why would you want to do that? And I can honestly look back and say over the last 9 years, this is the reason why. This is the reason why you live in a community where people know you and you know people. Because when you're going through these journeys, these valleys, these individuals are there to pick you up and hold your hand and to pat you on the back and to give you support.
That support has shown up in the form of signs made by Kingsley Memorial Church, where Lowell was a longtime member, in an ongoing effort to raise the current reward money amount for information from $30,000 to $50,000.
Well, the process started probably 8 years ago. There was probably, I think, about 5 agribusiness guys that got together and decided to start this reward fund. Of course, it's been laying somewhat in a dormant state for the last 8 years. But in the last several months, I've had a chance to talk with Alan and just to see what we could do as a community. Of course, we're not investigators. You know, we don't have the resources to do that, nor are we able to do that or qualified to do that. But we were just trying to figure out what we could do as a community to help.
Efforts to give back to the man who gave to so many as his family continues to reach for closure.
And we have to have the faith that this answer is going to come about. And, you know, whether it's the video that comes about, whether it's somebody finally having the courage to speak up, there's no question about there are individuals in this county that know specifically what happened. And, you know, when they have the ability and the willingness to speak out will be when this case will be solved.
For an even more in-depth look into this case, as well as information on another unsolved murder in Sullivan County, you can find an extended version of this story on our website. That's, of course, mywabashvalley.com.